Port Charles has survived earthquakes, mob wars, frozen viruses, and enough love triangles to power a small city. But nothing quite prepared fans for the shockwave that rippled through the fandom when whispers began to circulate. Jonathan Jackson is stepping away from Port Charles. For decades, Jackson's presence has felt like a heartbeat within General Hospital, sometimes faint, sometimes thunderous, but always there. And now, in a twist worthy of the soap itself, the man behind one of GH's most beloved legacies appears ready to close a chapter and open another no one saw coming. This isn't just an exit story. This is a reinvention. To understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to understand what Jonathan Jackson represents to General Hospital fans. From the very beginning, his character was never just another face in the crowd. He embodied a rare blend of vulnerability and quiet strength, someone who could break your heart with a look, then stitch it back together with a single line of dialogue. He wasn't flashy in the traditional soap opera sense. He didn't need to be. Jackson's performances were grounded, emotional, and deeply human. He brought a sense of realism to a genre known for heightened drama, and in doing so, he earned something far more valuable than ratings: trust. Fans trusted him to deliver the truth of a scene. Writers trusted him to carry emotional arcs. And viewers trusted that whenever he appeared, the story mattered. So when rumors began swirling that Jonathan Jackson might be walking away from Port Charles, disbelief was the first reaction. The second was fear. In soaps, exits are rarely quiet. There are farewell interviews, nostalgic montages, cast tributes, and sometimes dramatic on-screen deaths that leave no room for doubt. But this time, there was silence. No official statements. No dramatic press releases. No emotional goodbyes. Yet. Just a subtle shift in story focus. Fewer scenes. Lingering conversations that felt final. Fans noticed. Message boards lit up. Social media exploded with theories. Every pause, every line of dialogue was dissected for hidden meaning. And then came the words no one expected to hear whispered with such confidence. Jonathan Jackson is done. And has already moved on. One of the most surprising elements of this bombshell is how intentional it appears to be. This is not a rushed departure. Not a contract dispute gone public. Not a storyline casualty. Everything about this move suggests choice. Sources close to the production hint that Jackson approached this decision thoughtfully, privately, and with immense respect for the show that shaped his career. He wasn't pushed out. He didn't burn bridges. He simply felt finished. After years of returning, leaving, and returning again, something changed. The stories felt complete. The emotional journey reached a natural resting point. And rather than linger for nostalgia's sake, Jackson chose to step away while the legacy was intact. For a character so intertwined with GH's emotional DNA, that decision alone is staggering. But what truly stunned fans wasn't the exit. It was what came next. At first, speculation leaned in predictable directions. Another soap? A primetime drama? A limited streaming series? But the truth, once hints began leaking, was far more unexpected. Jonathan Jackson's new project isn't just a role. It's a mission. Instead of jumping into another long-running television commitment, Jackson is reportedly pouring his energy into a deeply personal, multidisciplinary project, one that blends storytelling, music, and introspection in a way that defies easy categorization. This isn't about chasing fame. This isn't about ratings. This is about expression. Insiders describe it as a character-driven narrative rooted in emotional realism. A project that values silence as much as dialogue. A story that explores faith, identity, loss, and hope. In short, everything Jonathan Jackson has always been drawn to, but without the constraints of daytime television. The timing raises questions and reveals answers. Jonathan Jackson has spent most of his life in front of cameras, delivering other people's words, inhabiting other people's visions. While he's always brought authenticity to his roles, there's a difference between interpreting a story and owning one. This new chapter appears to be about ownership, creative control, spiritual alignment, personal truth. Those close to Jackson suggest that he reached a point where continuing on the same path felt like repetition, not growth. And for an artist who values meaning over momentum, that realization was impossible to ignore. Port Charles gave him everything. Now, it was time to give something back. To himself. Make no mistake, the fandom felt this loss immediately. Some fans were angry. Some were heartbroken. Others refused to believe it at all. How can GH be GH without him? This feels wrong. Port Charles won't be the same. And they are not wrong. But beneath the shock, another emotion emerged, one quieter, but stronger. Respect. Because fans know Jonathan Jackson has never chased headlines. He's never milked his popularity. He's never overstayed his welcome. If he's leaving, it's because he believes it's right. And for many longtime viewers, that integrity matters. From a storytelling perspective, this departure is seismic. Writers are now faced with an enormous challenge. How do you honor a character so deeply embedded in the show's history without reducing them to a footnote? Do you write a definitive ending? Leave the door open? Let the character live off-screen, forever part of Port Charles but no longer visible? Whatever choice is made, it will ripple through multiple storylines, relationships, and emotional arcs. This isn't just one character leaving. It's a pillar stepping aside. Perhaps the most compelling part of this story is what it says about Jonathan Jackson as an artist. In an industry obsessed with relevance, he chose renewal. In a genre built on familiarity, he chose risk. In a role that guaranteed comfort, he chose uncertainty. That takes courage. And it suggests that whatever this secret project becomes, whether it's widely seen or quietly cherished, it will be honest. There's a certain myth in entertainment that actors must always be visible to remain valuable. Jonathan Jackson has never subscribed to that belief. His career has always moved in seasons. Appear. Withdraw. Reflect. Return, if it feels right. This latest move feels less like an ending and more like a pause with purpose. And if history tells us anything, it's that Jonathan Jackson never truly disappears. He transforms. The question lingers. And the answer, at least for now, is beautifully uncertain. No doors have been slammed. No bridges burned. No final goodbyes spoken on screen. Port Charles may not see him tomorrow, next month, or even next year. But the echo of his presence will remain, in old episodes, in fan memories, and in the emotional architecture of the show itself. Sometimes, the most powerful exits are the ones that leave room for hope. Jonathan Jackson quitting General Hospital is undeniably a bombshell. But unlike so many shocking soap twists, this one doesn't feel manipulative or hollow. It feels earned. It feels like an artist listening to his inner voice. Like a chapter closing not in chaos, but in calm. Like a reminder that growth often requires letting go. Port Charles will move on. The stories will continue. New faces will emerge. But there will always be a space shaped like Jonathan Jackson, a reminder of what happens when talent meets integrity, and when an actor chooses meaning over momentum. And as fans brace for the unknown, one thing is certain. Whatever his secret new project turns out to be, it won't just be another role. It will be a reflection of who he has become, and who he has always been.